China is fast becoming a world superpower. The country is already known as the world's manufacturer of nearly everything, from clothes to car parts, and they still continue to lead in the manufacturing game. Now, China is venturing into bigger industries, one of which is aviation. It wants to put a dent in the apparent duopoly of leading aircraft makers Boeing and Airbus. Comac, a Chinese government-owned aviation company, has made its own plane, the C919. How will this plane challenge the world's two aircraft giants? Let's find out more. Not what you expected. If you think Comac has just made its own version of an Airbus A380 or a Boeing 747, think again. It didn't. Comac's 919 is a small plane. It's not even suitable for long-haul flights. The C919 is more like a plane servicing short, regional flights. Think of it like the Boeing 737 MAX 8 or the Airbus A320neo, small planes that fly short distances within one country. With an airplane as small and as low profile as the Comac C919, China still can't quite compete with Boeing and Airbus. According to Shukor Yusuf, an aviation analyst from Singapore, the C919 is like an old Nokia phone competing against the iPhone and the Samsung Galaxy S series. It's just not cool, he said. Besides, the C919 is not a unique aircraft. Airbus and Boeing planes already have everything the C919 has. So how will this little plane compete with the giants of Airbus and Boeing? Well, here's the thing. China doesn't intend to compete, at least not yet. Chinese airlines don't yet have their own aircraft. They rely on planes manufactured by other countries, including those who make Airbus and Boeing. Now, with the Comac C919, it's the start of China having their own aircraft industry. And for them, that's a big thing, especially since China is one of the largest markets for commercial aircraft. Eventually, China plans to make its own fleet of aircraft and be independent from foreign aircraft manufacturers. Also, the push to make their own aircraft is China's bid to move away from manufacturing small commodities only. They want to expand their repertoire of products to include heavy industries like aviation. Once their aviation industry is well established, China can then sell aircraft to neighboring countries. Made in China, with foreign parts. While Comac is a 100% Chinese company, the C919 isn't exactly 100% locally sourced. Comac still has to rely on parts manufactured in other parts of the world. And that's the biggest challenge that China has to face. If it wants to produce a purely Chinese-made fleet of aircraft, it has to step up in manufacturing the different parts of a plane. For the C919, only the tail and the wings are made in China. A government-owned company called AVIC, or the Aviation Industry Corporation of China, manufactures these parts. The rest of the plane comprises parts imported from Western countries like the United States, Germany, and France. Most parts of the Comac C919 are from U.S. manufacturers. The wheels and brakes are from Honeywell. The fuel system is from Parker Aerospace. The radar, communications, and navigation systems are from Rockwell Collins. The fuselage is an aluminum frame made by Arconic. Flight data recorders are from General Electric, and the engines are from CFM International, which also manufactured the engines of the Boeing 737 MAX 8 and the Airbus A320neo. In fact, the C919 uses the exact same CFM LEAP engines equipped in the two other planes. Manufacturing all of those critical components in China will be a challenge. This cooperation of manufacturers in different countries is one huge factor that makes companies like Airbus and Boeing take the lead in the aircraft business. Without different companies specializing in different components working together to build safe, reliable aircraft, China will be climbing uphill on its own. Trade war worries. Back in the Trump administration, a trade war had gone on between China and the United States. This is one reason China wants to kickstart its own aviation industry. They're preparing for a possible future where the West would block exports to their country. With their own aviation manufacturing industry in place, China will not have to rely on imported parts if it ever comes to that point. But if aircraft giants like Boeing and Airbus can't build an entire plane all by themselves, many analysts think that China can't do so either. The country's aerospace industry is still young, and without the help of foreign companies who supply necessary parts, Comac and other Chinese manufacturers will stall. Despite that, China growing a local aircraft manufacturing industry may still present a significant threat to the present aircraft giants. For one, China has a huge airline industry, and big Chinese airlines practically buy all their planes from companies like Airbus and Boeing. But if China's homegrown aircraft manufacturing industry takes off, Airbus and Boeing will have lost one of its biggest customers. To further address the trade war concerns, the Chinese government is implementing a strategy called Made in China 2025. The country wants to take the lead in various industries, not just aerospace. These include telecoms, artificial intelligence, chips, cars, and medical devices. According to some industry analysts, China aims to occupy the highest levels of global production chains. With that, the country can then export its products to the rest of the world, reversing the trend of them importing from other countries. Still waiting to fly. The Comac C919 was already completed in 2015. Despite that, the plane still has yet to enter commercial service. It was slated to enter service this year, but as of March, the C919 is still under flight testing for airworthiness. Once the Chinese regulators have certified it, the plane can then transport actual passengers. Wu Guanghe, chief designer of the C919, expects it to officially enter service by the end of this year. One local airline called China Eastern Airlines has already signed an order to purchase 5 C919 aircraft. The airline is also waiting for the certification before the planes can be delivered to them. According to Comac, the 5 C919s ordered by China Eastern Airlines will fly from the company's home base in Shanghai to different routes, including Guangzhou, Beijing, Wuhan, Shenzhen, and more. All in all, Comac has received 815 orders for the C919. Nearly all of these orders came from Chinese airlines and aircraft leasing firms. Very few foreign companies took interest in China's new plane. China is also targeting neighboring Asian countries like Laos, Indonesia, and Myanmar. Some countries in Africa are also prospects, especially since China has been investing heavily in those regions. Lofty ambitions. Already, China is pushing for the development of locally manufactured aircraft parts. The Chinese government has concrete plans to develop its own turbofan jet engine, which it calls the CJ1000. Eventually, CJ1000 engines will power the C919 planes, as well as others that China will manufacture in the future. The government also announced plans to develop engines for wide-body aircraft. Overall, China's ultimate goal is to free itself from dependence on foreign manufacturers. But it's going to be a slow crawl, and many industry analysts think that these announcements are just PR stunts by the Chinese government. Even then, China seems to be making huge leaps in becoming the next leading global superpower. Whether or not it will take the lead in the aircraft industry, they will still find ways to get ahead. We'll have to wait and see what China has in store for the rest of the world.